All right. Hey, everybody. How's it going? This is, let me see what channel, the Grow Alex channel, I believe. Yes, the Grow Alex channel. I haven't been on this channel in a while. I've been kind of focusing on some other channels, other work, other businesses. But essentially, what I've been up to is focusing mainly on business, I think, out of all things. Um, to kind of give you a quick update, recently, over the last couple of days, some people have been asking me what's been going on with my YouTube or what's been going on with my YouTube channels and the work with that. Um, so I had a channel called Thigh Company, um, and it was okay. It was, you could make the argument, somewhat successful. Um, Ended up getting up to like 14, 15,000 subscribers. Um, and then eventually it was taken down. I don't know if it was YouTube primarily or just people reporting stuff or what the case is. But essentially that channel was taken down. Then we tried making a new gaming channel. I don't even remember what the name of it was, but it was also taken down because um, some of the content YouTube decided to deem it as um, like violent or something or the other, and without warning, they just took down the whole channel. And at that point, for some reason, what I've known as YouTube and the community and whoever was just taking down channels without warning, and they may at times give you a message saying why. Usually, they just take the stuff down without warning. So, the third attempt, we made another gaming channel called the Thigh Company again. We got up to 40 subscribers. Right now, it technically is still up, as far as I know, as of September 10th, 2021. But the issue with that on hand is that YouTube has now been targeting videos it does not seem to like. For example, there used to be a big channel on YouTube of a guy named Alex Jones. And to kind of give you a quick, brief discussion of what that is, this guy was sort of a political commentary, and eventually people started hating on him, calling him an extremist, and they took his channel down. And now it seems that YouTube is targeting anything that's in the area of either mentioning his name or referring to content that could be similar to what the guy was either talking about or in the nature of something similar to what the guy may have had on his channel. So besides the Thigh Company, the new Thigh Company channel I had that has the 40 subscribers, I had another channel that I was marketing to become successful in terms of being able to be monetized, to start bringing in some revenue. That channel and the Thigh Company channel, so those two channels were both unfortunately targeted, and everything that either had the name Alex Jones or mentioned something in that nature of what he did was taken down and given a community strike. And now those channels cannot upload any sort of content, so no videos, no live streams, no nothing, for at least 7 days, so at least a week. And it puts me on what they call a track of channel being taken down or whatever. And essentially they have its like community guidelines strike 1 until December 4th, 2021. And so if I get like another strike, I think I'm basically, I don't know how long, what that time frame is, should that happen. But essentially, even if I get all the requirements to monetize the channel, I can't do anything until December 4th with this first guideline strike, which is, can't really do anything about that. But December 4th is not an extreme long wait, but it's a long wait. So I have to now be careful of both channels. The one that I'm trying to monetize, and particularly more careful for. I'm not going to mention a lot of details of it unless I feel ready that channel to discuss at the moment. But the Thigh Company channel just didn't have anything in this. And what's funny is the videos that had, I think the reason that they took the videos down was because it had the name Alex Jones in the title. And the videos were on the channel, not just so like as if it was something I recently put up, but the videos were on the channel for probably over a year without any sort of issues. And it looks like YouTube just randomly maybe went in, typed in Alex Jones to just wipe everything off their system or the website. And so that's, unfortunately, YouTube wants to target anything that has that. So that's sort of like a warning, advisory, or public announcement, or whatever you want to call it, regarding that. So what am I going to do now with YouTube? I don't know, to be honest. I had some people are asking me to go back into gaming. I'm not in a great position to be doing that at the moment because it's not easy to do a gaming channel right now from what I've seen. Essentially, you have to know how to market stuff on YouTube in order to even go about even maybe beginning to go into that field. Because for some reason, my subscriber base that I had for the 15,000, I've lost more than 99% of that group. And I've made maybe at most from that group, maybe $100 from just that channel. And $100 is $100. Oh, hey, Rooster's here. Hey, Rooster. Been trying to contact you on Discord, by the way. How are you doing today? But yeah, so the reason why I have not been really on YouTube is because one, I haven't really had much of anything to upload, especially for the gaming stuff, because I only had maybe like one decent gaming computer that unfortunately, due to Windows updates, it lost a lot of the capabilities. And then I tried to reset the computer, and it looks like it lost even more. So I'm deciding to sell that computer for essentially whatever I'll be able to get, probably through either eBay or Facebook Marketplace, which I don't know when that will sell. I have this laptop, which I'm streaming on, which is not a great laptop, but it's a laptop, so it's something I'm able to use for essentially at this time for either small like schoolwork or business work. And when I say school, I'm kind of giving an update. I'm right now finishing up a business degree. I'm expecting for that to be done sometime maybe March of 2022. I don't know for sure. It's at this point hard to say because they change up their stuff on their end all the time. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so yeah, YouTube essentially is pretty much either I don't know what to upload, or I don't have the capabilities to upload something of decent quality. Or I'm focusing on this other channel that was intended to basically act as a source of income. Um, just I feel like I probably would need to get some kind of essentially a gaming computer, if that makes any sense. And I don't know what computer I would want to get, and I would have to get something in reasonable in a reasonable price range. So essentially, I would have to think about that because I'm working mainly on my. Right now, I'm trying to develop my own businesses. So that's like with eBay, stuff I do outside of eBay, to kind of give you an idea. So yeah, Rooster, to kind of give you a brief update, making this video because one, Humane randomly came by last night and wrote to me in all caps, why do I never make any live streams anymore? And to answer him in that area is because one, I have this temporary block because YouTube decided to take down anything that has the word Alex Jones in it and mark it as a community strike. Their reason that they marked it as a community strike is also really vague. It says due to violation of YouTube terms of services or of the encouraging of others to violate terms of services. What terms of services exactly they're not saying. So it has that on the Thigh Company channel that I've never used, and the videos were up there for over a year. And my second channel that was used for the purpose of just gaining a subscriber base, essentially, to monetize the channel. It wasn't like even focused on anything. It was more or less like you could say random videos, but essentially both channels have at least a block for a week. I'm assuming maybe September 12th, I might be able to go back in and maybe start uploading videos again. If not, probably wait till like the 13th or maybe the 15th. So that's the reason behind those two channels. I could, if I wanted to, go into a different channel and make some videos or content from that or for that. But that's basically a YouTube idea I could maybe go into. But besides YouTube, what I've been doing is one, I'm in technical, well, to give you an idea, for my education, you could say, I'm in university trying to finish a bachelor's in business degree. And what does that mean exactly? Well, at some point I was thinking about getting the degree because if I get a job in business, I have the degree that I would be able to put myself in like a good pay or something in that area. And now I'm iffy, or I'm not sure if that even makes sense to go and finish up now or not. I mean, right now I am finishing it up because the reason why I say I'm not sure if it makes sense because I'm not able to really at this time find a great paying job. The best job technically in terms of pay would be see, I worked at a hardware store at one point as a delivery driver, and they were paying somewhere around $17, $18, and I'm referring to United States dollars, which is not bad compared to a lot of other jobs in the area. It's maybe in the realm of like at least 30,000 a year. I'm thinking it's like 35, 36 or so. Let me see if I can check right quick. Hourly to salary calculator. That's technically, in terms of all the other jobs I've had, or like official jobs, you could say. So like the jobs that you would put on for taxes and all that. That's in terms of pay, but I only did that job for about maybe a week or a month or so. because there was one, training issues. They never did train me fully to what they said they were going to. So essentially, a lot of the job I was not able to do because they never trained me, and I've asked them to train me, they never did. And plus, they were planning on having me being held liable to any sort of issues. For example, any damages to any merchandise or any. Essentially, my job was to, one, drive and operate a box truck. So being responsible for driving, maintenance, taking care of the truck, making sure the truck is clean, being taking care of the stuff being put into the truck. So with the hardware store, they also sold appliances, so refrigerators, ovens, dishwashers, dryers. We also had like bathtubs, vanities, lawnmowers, like your riding lawnmowers. And for the most part, that's what we dealt with. So, but we also dealt with like also any kind of like heavy or bulky items. We had to put it onto the truck, load it off the truck, put it into the customer's house. So that means like you'd have to. A lot of people had like stairs, so you have to know how to take that up the stairs. Making sure you navigate inside the house, because you can't just like leave it in any room. You have to put it into the area of where the customer wants. Also, know how to go about installing the appliances or whatever in the house. Having all the tools, which you had to pay and buy out of pocket. Also be held liable if you do anything that would damage the house. So scratching the walls, destroying any walls, scratching the floors, and messing anything up in the house, you would be held liable. So because of that risk, which it was essentially another reason why I did not go into continuing with that job, just mainly because of the risk and the out-of-pocket costs of getting all the tools and equipment. So that's why I left that particular job. But the current job where I'm working at now, I'm like an assistant. Technically, my position is like assistant guest services manager or like a front-end manager for a grocery store. They're paying me in this particular grocery store. I'm not going to mention any company names or anything, just for privacy. They are paying. Well, they told me $15.40 an hour, and then they gave me paperwork that had $16.40 an hour. But I'm still waiting for the first paycheck to verify what that pay per hour is. Which is essentially a lot better than a lot of other grocery stores and a lot of other businesses in the area for like entering, what do you call it, first entry jobs. Even though you can say, well, management's not a first entry job, it's something you would have to have either experience or education for. But just, getting into a company, essentially, without them really contacting any of your prior experience or prior work places of work or contacting the school. So, which is also kind of an interesting thing, because it tells me that if somebody finessed their resume, or essentially made up a resume, made up whatever, and spoke in their interview the right way, essentially you could come up with a way to get into a higher paying job. But for me, I think I did apply for other positions, and then they switched me to the management job. So essentially, that, to give you an idea, that job is like being a cashier, surrounding the cash register, but you're also taking care of making sure shopping carts that are in the parking lot get into the store, and there's not like random shopping carts like built up in any kind of area, like in the front entrance, that would be blocking people from entering and leaving the store. Um, and then I think I'm also like in charge of like, say, if any kind of customers have any issues with anything, fixing that issue, making their experience in the store essentially great, pleasant, and all that. Um, and I'm trying the job out. I mean, I've been there for what, 2 weeks now, I think, or just about close to 2 weeks. Um, we'll see how that goes. It's not like my ideal job, but it's not a bad job at all, I think, especially for $16.40 an hour. It's better than a lot of places with a lot of what people pay around my area. Because back when I started working, everybody was being paid like minimum wage, like $7.25. And I thought I was like lucky to find a job that was paying like $8 or $9 an hour. But now the whole market has changed. Now it's like it's going to be impossible to find a $7.25 job, unless like you happen to be kind of like in the wrong area at the wrong time, if that makes any sense. And essentially you have like no resume, and you find like the worst of possible jobs, I guess, in terms of pay, which I don't know if that was like my situation back in 2014 or not. But right now, in terms of work, I think I'm in a decent area. I don't know, it's hard to say, but $16.40 an hour, I mean, in this economy, it's not great. What you should be really aiming for to be at a true decent level is something like maybe in the area of like 25 to 30 an hour, whatever job or thing that would be. But that grocery job or assistant or management job is not the only way I make money. I also recently started doing car cleaning, car detailing. So like what that is exactly, it's depending on how you want to call it, but car cleaning is like the easiest way to call it. And what I did was I essentially, working at the hardware store, I did research and figured out what I needed in order to start up that kind of business. And essentially what you need is a vacuum. I went with what's called a shop vac. Like a small portable vacuum. I first started with a battery-powered one, found that it was easier to just go and get a corded one, and the customers or clients, the ones I've been through, they don't seem to really care if I use their electricity. Every once in a while, you do get somebody who's picky, and they're like, oh, why don't you have a huge truck that has a huge generator, a huge water tank that has pressure washers on the tank? So, and I don't, because it's a small scale operation. However, I am trying to grow it out. But I think my issue now is I've luckily developed a good client list, and it is growing. But I think I am at the point now where I need to hire on some workers, like people who want to help out here and there, so I can then essentially not have to go all the time to a place of work. Essentially, if it's like, see, if I have like a large contract or a large kind of or set deal with somebody who I don't want to lose. For example, I have a couple of deals with like a different logistic companies. So like, say if a logistic company, for example, I have to, with one place, essentially clean in the inside of semi trucks. So like the main cabin, which usually takes anywhere, depending on how bad the truck is, 1 hour to maybe 3 hours if it's like a really bad truck. And they pay $150 per truck. And I've had days where I could, like my best days, we finished 3 semi trucks in, I think, 3 hours, but I had 2 other people helping me. And essentially 3 trucks was $450. And I don't know, it may have been 2.5 hours, 3 hours, so somewhere in that area. If you are able to have family helping you out, if you want to go into that area, that also helps greatly. Otherwise, be careful of who you have with you, because it's also possible for people to steal clients. So like a worker will say either undercut your prices, but what we do is we have our prices set at a good, reasonable range. We don't have it like expensive, but we don't have it like cheap to the point where it doesn't make sense to have a worker. Even though if I wanted to, I could probably try to come up with some sort of business model in that area, but I still feel like no matter how cheap you go, you could still have a worker undercut that set price. But it's something I'm kind of looking into. But I find that it's like some weeks in that area I might make as much as $1,000 in that week, while sometimes it's like I might make an extra 100, 200, 300 in a week. But there's some weeks where I'm not even busy or have anything, but it's like another supplemental income that comes in. Plus I have the eBay stuff. So like I have an eBay website where I sell essentially right now anything I can. I might later have to go into how I go about sourcing a different inventory, but on eBay, eBay claims that I make somewhere around 600 to 700 in sales, but I think in terms of actual profit, it might be somewhere like 300-400 a month. I would have to kind of look into that and make some calculations. But it helps pay for like a gas, maybe some bills like a gas bill, electricity bill, maybe like a car payment or something like that. So essentially I have those 3 methods or main methods of making money. Every now and then I do have some other like side jobs that come in. Like I had one time a friend call up, ask me to drive him to one place in town or another place in town. So essentially be like a taxi driver. And he gives some money for gas, which is not a great option, but it's like if you don't have any other work and you have time to do something. I mean, there's one way you can make some money, but it's essentially what I've been working on is doing those businesses, whatever they may be, to save up money to either, and here's where I'm kind of stuck. If I want to either invest in real estate, which would be to essentially buy a place and rent out to somebody. So like buying an apartment and renting the apartment out to a tenant or someone who is living in that apartment and essentially paying you to live there. But the problem is the price of property in our area is pretty expensive. So you have to figure out, do I want, well, for me, I have to figure out, do I want to continue saving up money and just continue waiting to get a property, or finding a property that's outside of my area that I don't mind either driving to, or maybe even consider it being somewhere else where I would maybe even perhaps fly to buy and rent out, to just essentially have another way to make some extra money. So the way I see it is like you're trying to build up your cash flow. And as a business, I guess, model or idea, what I'm slowly, I guess, starting to see or find out is that it's not necessarily great to just have a huge amount of money that you just keep in a bank. Because the way I find that the business model, which I might make another video talking about, if you're essentially making money, it's not good to just have that money come to you and you're just having that money lie around, let's say in your house or like in a purse or a box or something. Um, because one, um, that let's say it's 1,000 or 10,000 or $100,000 or something you have in a box. Um, if that money is just sitting in a box, it's that same amount. Um, like for example, let's say this roll of pennies here is your money. You put that money into a box or your house or whatever. Um, that money is sitting around. Yeah, the numerical value of that money is still there, but the true value of the money is whatever it's based off in the economy. For example, um, like there's inflation. For example, in let's say 50 years ago, the price of something was one set price. You put that, let's say $1,000 or whatever, that money in that thing. I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, let's say 50 years ago, you're thinking about buying a car. Um, cars, let's say, were $1,000. You start saving up money. Okay, I finally have my $1,000. I'm gonna save that money for in the future, so that once I get more money, I can go buy that car for $1,000. Well, because of inflation, that car is not going to stay at $1,000. It's going to go up in price. But your money is not going up in price. That set amount of money that you had is staying at that money, and essentially prices are going up, and the true value of the money you put away in that box or whatever that you have in your house is essentially losing true value or going down in true value, even though it has that same numerical amount. Um, and in the U.S., and it's not a huge, you don't see it at a huge rate. It's for some people, it's not even really visible, but it is there. For example, I'm pretty sure gas prices are going up, prices of groceries are going up, and right now I don't know if it's maybe because of the pandemic, maybe, but it's not just that. Um, it's all kinds of really different factors. You tend to see it more in like other countries, like for example, just as a quick example that I know of, in Mexico they had pesos, and the pesos had like kind of a hyperinflation where they had a bunch of zeros, and so what they did, like, oh, every 1,000 is just going to be 1 peso, but prices of goods, they don't just stay at one price. They continue going up because of different things. For example, it might be tougher to ship items across the world. For example, price of gas goes up. So, okay, well, because price of gas goes up, I'm gonna have to compensate for that increase by making the price of something more expensive. So, essentially, if you want to look into that, just it's kind of like inflation and how that works. But next step would be people put money in the bank. The banks give you interest. So essentially, your money is growing, um, but that rate of growth is not a big rate. So what do you do then? You start essentially figuring out, okay, so I'll make, let's say, 1 or 2%. It's banks are kind of usually around that area of interest. Usually it's less than even, I don't think anywhere gives 2% as far as I know. Um, it's usually in like 1% or something like that. Maybe it's like a fraction of a percent. Um, essentially, you would figure out, okay, if I always keep my money in the bank, so without taking money in the bank, that set amount would be, after 1 year, you would decrease this percent. Um, okay, so let's say $1,000 is 1%. Okay, 1% of 100, it's 1, but it's 1,000, so you times that by 10. 1 times 10 is 10. So after a year of having $1,000, the bank gives you $10. But of course, most people, they don't just always keep that same money in the bank. They always have to essentially touch the money. So you have to spend the money on, say, groceries or on a bill or something like that. So you're not really able to rely on that interest all the time in the bank. But on top of that, you can make more outside of the interest of the bank than just having the money grow on the interest. So, like, I know people who have, let's say, $10,000. So $10,000, instead of being at $10, it's 100. So 100,000 would be 1,000. A million would be 10,000. Essentially, the more money you have in the bank, yeah, the more you make off of that interest. But you can still make more off of that interest if you're investing the money into different areas, which is what I'm trying to essentially figure out how that works. So if it's, let's say, for example, that $1 million with the 10,000. Okay, $10,000 seems like a good amount of money. But if I have, for example, I buy two houses with that $1 million, so each house is 500,000. And for example, in my city, I don't know, every city kind of varies. Right now, in my city, the average rent would be like, for $500,000 houses, usually it's like 1,200. So let's say 1,200, or let's just say even 1,000 per month. 1,000 times that by 12 months times 12 is 12,000. So you're already making more off of that $500,000 house off of having the interest of the million. But let's say $1,200 in rent per month. So times that by 12, that's 14,400. And that's off of one house. If you times that by 2, that's 28,800. So essentially, I'm making almost 3 times the amount in the interest, or 3 times as much as what I would make in the interest. So it's already one way you can make more than the interest in the bank. But so that's one option. The other option is to make a business. But the business, depending on how you have it, there could be a lot more startup costs. For example, let's say if my car cleaning and automotive job was successful. Let's say I have, in theory, that's $150 job of semi trucks. Let's say I have that. Let's say I'm lucky and I'm somehow extremely efficient, and I'm able to make $150 per hour, which is unlikely because it's going to probably take you. Let's be a little bit more lower. Let's say it takes me 3 hours to do the 150. Okay, so that's $50 per hour. All right, $50 per hour. 40-hour work weeks. So 52 work weeks per year. So that means you're working every single week, 40 hours. So that's usually 5-day, 8-hour shifts. And so you're like Saturday, Sunday, you may be off. That would be, assuming this is before taxes, a salary of $104,000. So that's already more than that 30,000 off of the property. That essentially, of course, you have taxes. Assuming, I don't know what the taxes vary by state and vary by where you're located. I've heard people say, "Oh, I lose half of my money on taxes. I lose 15%. It really varies depending on where you are at. Let's say half. So that's 52,000, I think would be the half of 104. 52,000 is already better than the rent money you would make off of the places. So to kind of give you an idea, I mean, that's just one area of business. And then, of course, businesses grow, and businesses can grow at a faster rate than the rent on the houses or the homes. So essentially, that's kind of an idea of where I'm stuck in the business area, and I'm just trying to right now either build up my cash flow. The way I look at it is like I need to build up my cash flow, because not the money amount necessarily, unless I have like a really big amount of money. Like let's say if I have like the 10 million, the 100 million, or a billion people, at that point, essentially, if you're at 10 million, making 100,000 a year, most people I know would be able to live really well off 100,000 a year if they're not even working 100,000 a year. And then 100 million would be 1 million if it's the 1%, and so on and so forth. But those, I mean, at that point, the people who have that much money, they're not just like living off of interest. They're always doing something, either building up their own businesses or whatever they do to earn more money, or they're usually investing in other areas. For example, people who have a lot of money, they try to figure out, okay, how do I decrease my taxes? And so what they do is they look and do research on what they can do to lower their taxes. For example, they may make a donation, like buy something and then donate it somewhere, so they can write off something on their taxes, or they make a purchase that they can write off of their taxes and claim for it, and state that it is a business expense. So depending on where you are and what you buy or what you do with your money, you can maybe save money on taxes that way as well. So just kind of some ideas there. But my thing is I'm just trying to build up a cash flow, because there's a lot of things I want to do in life or have in life that at this current point I don't have. And it just seems like, okay, how do I go about doing that? And realistically, it seems that some of the stuff that I'm looking to achieve, it would have to have certain cash flow or certain resources in order to get to. So that kind of like gives you an update, because I know Umain's asking like, okay, why aren't you updating anything on your channels or whatever? So yeah, it kind of gives you an idea of what I've been up to. So yeah, so the Alex Grow channel, for those who are wondering, I haven't really been updating or putting up any videos on this channel. I was making it mainly a YouTube, or actually, let me see what I did here. So the Alex Grow channel was focused on eBay selling. So I have here a lot of eBay, a lot of like talking about education, jobs and stuff. But the one I have here is like 2 years ago, the first one, which I'm assuming is like 2019, maybe even before that. I have one video in Russia when I did that live stream. A lot more stuff. And then I still slowly started going into Facebook Marketplace, which I might make a video on that because I'm having issues with Facebook Marketplace, but Facebook Marketplace can be a potentially good area to make some more money. And I'll make some more videos talking about that and how to grow and use your eBay business. Because right now, mine is okay. It's not going down. It's not going up. But I know how to go about making it bigger, if that makes any sense. So yeah, if you do like this content, make sure to subscribe, like this video, turn on the bell icon so you can get notifications on when we put up some new videos, new content, or new live streams. We do appreciate that. So essentially, thank you for stopping by. We appreciate it. Take care.